Today we are working on some pull request stuff. So I don't have to monitor my output anymore. Thank you. There's an audio output capture. That's interesting. I haven't played with that yet, but I think that means, hey Derek, what's going on? Oh, INI and IS support. Yeah, I know, right? It's not exactly INI support yet, but it's getting there. The idea is, you have an INI file that has all the options in it, and then later on, if you wanted, you could take that INI idea and use it to, load it and use that for some runtime settings if you felt like it. So that's like an option that we could add later. INI is certainly pretty easy to parse. It depends on what kind of data you're throwing at it, but yeah, it would be kind of neat to use INI for runtime settings sometimes. But also, like, you've got the EEPROM, so it's like, when you look at something like a RepRap firmware, it's like you're writing to the EEPROM the settings, but then you have this file that has the settings in them, and then you have, like, whatever you built the firmware with. So we have that extra level in Marlin, so it'll be interesting to see how that works. Um, let's see. I'm gonna be basically. I wanted to point the camera so it would have the Marlin sign in the view, but I could just move the sign. That'd be fun. Anyway, how's everybody doing tonight? Another Tuesday. Can you believe it's 2023 already? 21st century, space age. Supercomputer in the palm of your hand. It's pretty amazing. Oh, I also have a deal. Hey, Nathan, what's going on? Welcome, welcome. Good to see you. Yeah, I'm just, this is my first time really kind of getting back into YouTube streaming after a long while. I've been doing a lot of streaming on Twitch, trying to just, because there's nobody there. It's like, hey, I can be unself-conscious. So I kind of, been working on that muscle memory. We'll see how it works. Hmm. So first thing I just saw today was that someone has submitted polar graph, or not polar graph, we already have polar graph, polar coordinate uh, kinematics. So let's go back to Marlin here and take a look at that. Current pull request, there it is, polar kinematics added. Get the latest date change. Today is the 10th. Or is it? Apparently it is. Okay. Okay, moving on. Oh yeah, I wanted to bring up, I also wanted to add the chat box to this. So let me do that real quick. I need a browser. And there we go, browser source. Do I want to save them? Yes. Save them. Okay, so now I've got to go to my stream, wherever that is. Let's see, I've done this before. Gotta go to youtube.com. Yeah, this will be nice to have a good OBS setup with your chats visible and all that kind of thing. Then I gotta switch to my Thinkyhead software account. Oh, look, I am live. It says so. Okay, and then I gotta go to my channel or YouTube Studio. I could hit YouTube Studio, but that's not really where I want to go. Yeah, no, I don't really want to be on YouTube Studio, although that's cool. Content. Oh, okay, there's content. Live. Okay, open up the thing. Oh, I guess if I just go to the edit and then I click on the video link, do the pop-out chat thing, copy the link from the chat. Okay, hold on. Pop-out chat. Boop. Okay, is pop-out. Copy that. And there, close that. Close that. Close that. Okay, so I think I just put it in here in OBS. And then I have to do all these tricks where I put custom CSS in to make it look a nice read access, page permissions. Sure. Boom. Any second now. Okay, there it is. So as you can see, we got chat here. Now I've got to do these tricks where I sort of mess with the borders and stuff. So let me quickly do that. I went there yesterday just for just.github.com, and it was like a OBS style chat, something about styles chat, styles for chat tested in OBS. I think this might be the same one I used yesterday. So certain things, transparent background, there's some padding stuff. There we go. Reduce side padding. Here we go. Hide header and input. Yeah, let's do that. And the side padding. That'll look better. And then I'll bring up that polar stuff. That'll be fun. All right, so let's see. Edit. And, oops, paste that in there. Now I've got padding left. Now padding right, I think I was going to do something like, 200 or something like that. And header, display none, important. Okay, fine. Let's try that. Boom. Reload. Oh, that padding isn't quite right. We'll get that. We'll keep doing that until it works. I don't know why it's that size exactly. I guess it might be that it's using the content as its guide. It's an interesting thing. I haven't played with this too much, but like if I make this, 300 by 800 or whatever. Yo! Okay, so it does know what to do as far as the size goes. So I can just get rid of the... There we go. Okay, that makes it easier. Yeah, I did a bunch of extra work on my other version that I didn't have to do, so it looks like I can make this, about a little, not quite as tall. Let's see, how about 600? And, nope, not quite, huh? It's hard to know what the scaling is. It doesn't show, does it? So let's maybe go with 700 on that. And then as I crank it down, maybe 750. I'd like to make the font a little more readable too for you guys, for future videos. And I'll probably throw a background on it, a proper background on there. At some point. And yes, there's some interesting things you can do with that. I guess I can just make it like, about this tall. Just hide that little bit off the side. There, that'll work. Yeah, it is nice to see the development of Marlin live while it's happening. It does get developed every day. I just don't usually broadcast it. And then, there is an audio output capture. That's interesting. Okay, device. It doesn't have a device option, so I'll just simply remove that, I guess. Yeah, later I'd like to be able, oh wait, there we go. I also want to be able to do that. There we go. Me on top of chat. And then the last bit will be move me to the right a little bit. There we go. Get me off. A little off the screen there. Okay. How we doing? That's better. So this is fun. I haven't played with this stuff too much. of late, but I'm enjoying it. The other thing I would like is if OBS allowed you to like tell it to keep certain windows up even when the app is in the background, because like you want to have the chat up, but you don't also are going to typically not going to be in OBS the whole time. The only time you ever see the chat window is when you're actually in OBS, which is funny. So if I want to see the YouTube chat on this video, I actually have to like open the video somewhere and then open the chat and keep it in my view, basically. And so I can, I can do that. Not a big deal. Let's see if I'm in my subs. Oh, there I am. There we go. So now I can keep the chat in view for myself, and that'll at least let me keep an eye on things on the tablet. And the rest of the time, I will be focusing my attention on the screen over there. So here we are. Welcome. So typically when I get something like a new option, like in this case, polar kinematics, I'll just clean up. My first pass will be just to clean up the code a little bit. So we'll do a quick merge on it. So let's do that. Git merge from bug fix 2-1. And merge is nice and clean because it keeps things out of the way for the person you're working on this with. They can download it's updating their branch. I've been given permission, as it were, to update their branch. So now that I can, I am. So some of the things I noticed in this were, we can review the files. So the first thing I'll do is just throw this in as kinematics or delta, I don't know. We'll go with motion and new feature, I guess. Okay, so first off, section polar. All well and good. So I'm just going to, first thing I'll do is get rid of all the trailing spaces. Throughout the entire code base, except for, I've got to tell it that certain files are binary. In particular, OTF files are binary now. Just got to tell it that. So let me see, that is a project thing. Edit project. Binary, here we go. Star.otf. There. Okay, so now that that's cleaned up, let's see, I got rid of a lot of trailing white space that was just fell in. I assume because they use Vim. I was blaming it on Vim. Blame it on the Vim. So let me see, yeah, clean up WS. Next, yeah, the other thing I noticed was extraneous commentary. And also, just usually my sections are lowercase. And then this is also space drawn. I guess you could catch that if you were the developer. The other thing I see is a lot of extra line space as well. Okay, that's all good. Default segments per second applies to delta, polar graph, Skara, and Tpara, and polar. they all have different numbers. So usually, depending on how complicated the settings are, I will leave headings at the top above them. But these also work if they're not very complicated. So let's do that. And sometimes I'll align values if they seem like they're related in some sense. They're not here per se, so for now. Alright, unwanted deposition. Right, so try to find better words for things like that for your average user. We know what deposition is. We know it means to deposit. Not to depose. That would be deposition, I guess. Unreachable radius by tooltip nozzle. This happens if your tool is not perfectly aligned to the center of the polar axis. Okay. Let's just say radius, which is unreachable. By a tool, by the tool. Oops, byte. I'm so used to typing the word byte. Needed if the tool is not perfectly aligned to the center of the polar axis. Okay, and then we have convert XY feed rate to polar to degrees per second on the fly. All right, that's fine. All right, so that's our general cleanup of that. These are very long commentary, so I'm kind of like, why do we care about Baby Bear? Yeah, it's like this guy is promoting his thing. So yeah, polar kinematics by, you know, sure, was developed by Kadir Ilkimin. Is that, do you spell it lowercase? I mean, that's cool if you do. It looks like you've chosen to use lowercase for your first letter. That's fine. It probably has an accent on it, I imagine. Let's see. If it does, we can put that in. That's okay. Independent Y or B, polar, independent, linear. So right. Why wouldn't we say X or Z is independent linear? Right. Again, this is all self-promotion kind of stuff. I really frown on this one when it comes into Marlin. It's like, yeah, I mean, I get it. You know, you want to get your copyright message in there, but this is a little excessive. Just a little excessive. So I'll put it down that it's baby bear or polar bear and baby bear. So my thought is you create a configuration for these machines. That's all we do here. We don't, you know. And then this is created for any and all polar kinematics that someone might want to implement later. That's what we, you know, if you're submitting it to Marlin, that's why you're submitting it, so that everyone can have it and implement it for their own. So we don't need to like put in what the configurations are for your particular machines. You really should just put those into a configuration file. Test required to confirm it works with Polar and Core XZ. Well, we'll work on that. Sculpto Pro 2. Yeah, that'd be fine too. So there's a polar axis near zero movement problem. Movements close to the center do spend more time than others because you have to wait for the turntable to sometimes turn 180 degrees. That can be very annoying. But I think this is a problem for the slicer more. If you're going to implement, if you're going to create something that has polar kinematics, I think you should tell the slicer that you're using polar kinematics, like you do when you tell it you're using delta. On delta, it'll put the center at 0, 0, which is one thing it does, but it'll also do some other. It may do some other things regarding the way it affects speeds and things. Unwanted deposition. I'll keep the word deposition for now, until we have a longer deposition. Burn more material. Ooze, we'll say. Therefore, a similar compensation would be implemented for laser cutting. Right. I would say if you're doing laser cutting, don't do it on a polar machine, for Christ's sake. Just don't. Also, if you're doing milling, you probably shouldn't be using a polar machine. In general, like, you know, yes, things can be done. Doesn't mean they should be. We'll go with motion instead of movements. And we'll say take more time than others. Blah, blah. This is me being an editor here. As a lover of the English language, it pains me to be in the tech industry, generally. That's all I'll say about that. All right, moving on. So yes, this is polar. Yeah, that'll work. That's fine. Polar. Give it its own section. Right. So here it knows, hey, there's a long rotation in the center ahead, therefore I got to deal with it. Yeah, I would say this is like, yeah, we could do that in the firmware, but I mean, how much do we want to do that in the firmware? Honestly, it really should be done ahead of time as much as possible in your slicer. If you know that there's like going to be a long pause, uh, I would say, you know, and you know there's a certain amount of ooze involved. I mean, there's only a certain amount you can do. Like we can do linear advance, and we can kind of like make a version of linear advance that's tuned to this kind of thing. But I don't know exactly where and how you would. There are various things you could try, but I don't know. I don't know. Uh-huh. Ooze. More material doesn't make sense in the laser cutting section. Yeah, well, what was the original verbiage? Burn. Yeah, burn. Maybe not more material, but sure, more material. That's funny. Yes, it's laser. I didn't notice it was laser. Um, next. Next. Uh, we have ourselves. That's fine. That's all well and good. Although I think at this point, since this is in a CPP file, we're not likely to see a lot of folks complaining. Uh-huh. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that should do that. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah, sure. Right. Next. Uh-huh. Okay. Well, we should at least put a little nice comment like the others have, I think, just to be consistent. So yes, S is going to be segments per second, And that's apparently all. Good enough. So that's all you get? Fine. That's fine. Now, however, these reports are different. We've changed these too. Guess the author of this didn't notice all of our fabulous new facilities. But let's see, is there such a thing as string polar settings? No. However, there is such a thing as string polar graph settings. So we'll just put it there. Again, just trying to be consistent, that's all. Meanwhile, looks like everything else seems all right. Okay. Next. It looks like a little tweak for that. Next. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. It's a little bit goofy, but whatever. If it's polar, you get that. Otherwise, you get Skara. Otherwise, you get delta. And at the final destination, you get nothing. But yeah, you could also do this kind of thing where you say, you know, just to be goofy, even goofier. Let's see, what was it? Oh, it's serial echo PGM. I hope I got that part in there somehow. No, of course I didn't. So yeah, I could do something stupid like K colon space. They all have K colon space, so hey, let's just get rid of that part. There. Who loves metaprogramming? Hello? Anyone? Okay, polar. Polar. It's not, it doesn't stand for something. Like polar doesn't stand for polar things. I don't know what you would say it stands for. Polar. Skara supposedly stands for something. I don't know if that's needed. It's different. Tipara is kind of like Skara. Apparently it's good enough for that. Okay. Right, and there never was a polar segments per second, so I don't think we need that. It never existed. You just made it up. It's a fantasy, man. All right, and then we have again. Just one. Okay. And then we've got that. Sure. Undef slowdown. Okay. Not sure where slow down. I guess slow down makes sense. You wouldn't use it. Um, we have it in a few places, I guess. Scara, no. Polar, no. Delta, no. Looks to me like it's actually is kinematic. Uh-huh. It's showing up in way too many places. Let's see. Undef slow down. Did that already. Oh, wait. Did that already. Uh-huh. Okay. Looks good to me. All right. So, sure. May not work well with the S-curve acceleration. Polar warnings. Both. So yeah, it's a bit of a boring day. I got to go through some of this stuff, then hopefully get into something a little more interesting. Or I don't know how interesting it is, but yeah, like the kind of stuff I have to do for the parsing of configs. It's all text processing. That can get pretty tedious. If you've ever done text processing, pick a language, any language. That can get pretty tedious. I don't know. I'm thinking in the long run, like I'd like to have the data in a database. So working that out should be interesting. Right. So all this printable radius stuff. Gotcha. Okay. Polar. Right now, of course, as you look at code like this, you see, well, I see redundancies. This thing is calling a thing which is just basically duplicating almost everything in some other function. Shouldn't we just make some common one that they both call? And yeah, over time you can slowly work that out. You have to kind of wait for these redundancies to appear before you can address them sometimes. Let's see, same as Cartesian, don't limit. Okay. I don't know. Cartesian doesn't need to be capitalized because it's not named after Cartesia. Oh, hey, what's going on in Discord? I should, sometimes it's nice to share the live stream both places, but um, do you win stuff when BL Touch is not enabled? Cool. Yeah, there's some tricks in Pro UI. We've been tweaking Pro UI little by little. It's been coming along. So yeah, it just basically needs, it's sort of set up with some assumptions about what kind of machine you may have. For example, an Ender 3 V2. It might assume you have a certain probe or not. Screen 1, screen 2, screen 2, I guess. Go live. There you go. So I thought I would share on the Discord that I am live as well. Yeah, I mean, maybe I'll look at it. I don't have a BL Touch either, so it's on that machine. So it should be easy enough for me to test. I got an Ender 3 V2 from Creality that's basically like this. It wasn't in very great shape. I think I can get it to print now, so that might be worth playing with. Okay, Cartesian millimeter times polar reciprocal of the min segment length. Fine. Right, polar min segment length. Yeah, I'm thinking we might, in the long run, combine these since, obviously you're not going to have all of them. But let me think. Scara and Delta and others. I'm trying to think of a good name that would have 5 letters in it. Scara, Polar, Delta, and Motio. Short for motion. Just drop the N. Alright, so then there's polar.h. Okay, fine. In motion.h. Yes, makes sense. Now we have planar polar feed rate scaling. This gets interesting. Okay, so this is all laid out already in the config. So do we want to have it in both places or what? I see why it was indented differently in the other file. If isn't a function, so we put a space after it. Just for the heck of it. Greater than 90, 180 minus, otherwise the thing, divide by 90, all good. The only thing I would do differently, is stick an F on the end of those just to make sure they're done in float maths and not double. Meanwhile, because yeah, things will tend to get promoted, and if you don't use an F, everything will promote to double because it assumes that a decimal number with no F is the highest precision. I don't know why. It's a thing. But it kind of makes certain sense. You do want the highest precision, right? Okay, 1.0 minus the thing, the absolute thing, or the thing. So diff theta is going to be degrees, etc., etc., etc. Length is already an absolute value. So we should have an absolute value as a result. This should end up being positive, right? So I'm thinking it's greater than 90, 180 minus thing divide. I don't know where the abs is needed before this or somewhere else, but we'll figure it out later. Just trying to see if I can make it take less. Okay. And then there, that looks neater. All right, now wood. All right. Look at optimizing that a bit more later. One thing is just if we don't need to take the absolute value of something that's always going to be positive, maybe that'll work out. Okay, then we've got get axis position degrees, which exists in the case of yeah, it looks to me like I could probably just combine these with Scara. Although, you know, yes, I understand this is, you know, not quite the same. In the long run, you would hope for kinematics to each get, you know, separate units, and then there's like callbacks to those units, and some of them are just, you know, blank. So if it's kinematic, you might have some things that just doesn't, it returns 1 or it returns 0 or it doesn't, or it just doesn't do anything. Oops. Yeah, let's do that. Oops, 2023. It's 2023, baby. Welcome to 2023. So polar H. Do we need macros? No. We don't. We do need types though. Const float. And then externs aren't needed here, they're needed wherever things refer to this. So yeah, my thought is like types.h, basically. So let's build it and see what happens. Yeah, for a Mega 2560. All right. Oop, not much. Classic jerk is required. All right, so we need to opt enable that. Oops. And, okay. Segments per second was not declared. Whoops. Whoops. Probably because it's looking for it in polar dot, let me guess, CPP? Oh, nope. Interesting. So where does it define then? It is defined in it should be defined in polar.h. Not as an extern. Oh, I see. Maybe it is an extern. Oh, I get you. We're in old school land. I can always forget this part. Yeah. So, yeah, that makes sense. All right. This will be needing some cleanup for sure. You may have seen this before. Make sure your angles are within 0 to 360. Okay. All right. Okay. All kinds of fun floaty maths. But yeah, tend to do this sort of thing. Yes, we put spaces between operators, but not between parentheses, even though spacing out parentheses is nice sometimes. Mm-hmm. Interesting. good. Well, that's just messing with me right there. What is that? Somebody likes using tabs in their programming, but then doesn't do a very good job converting them before they send them to us. Is that what's going on? That's fine. Be that way. So I kind of prefer this sort of layout where we put the commas in front. Depends on the situation, but boop. Sometimes that can be nice. In this case, I would probably stick the commas in the back then, because they don't really help. If this is liable to ever get expanded in the future. And why EOL twice? I don't know. I don't see a reason. All right. All right. Report more positions. Yes. Polars. Oh, is that report more positions? Oh, that's interesting. Stepper, Scara, Polar. It's doing all that, so why not do that? Yeah, that'll work. Next, can we build it? Can it build finally? Let's see. One more time. Hey, it's building. Okay, good. That's an important aspect right there. Gotta have things build. Okay, so as I've looked it over, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Good job. Polar center offset apparently might be referenced from various places, apparently. Oh, wait, it's not. Also, there is no such thing as that, so I know that's a placeholder. But it's too tempting. I don't want to look at it. It's too tempting to look at. Okay. Yeah, by the time you would be including this file, you know whether or not you need it. Because this will have been included. Yeah, so you could do, if you really needed to, you could do that kind of thing. Generally speaking, the idea is you have dumb headers. You include those first. That way you guarantee, or you can check to make sure that things have what they have. Okay, so yeah, this is this whole thing about Kadir again. Kadir, I love you, man, but come on. Key, Kadir. Thank you, Kadir Lookaman. I appreciate it. Boop. Polar. Sure. Right. Yeah, I'm gonna need to do this printable radius stuff. Just make it like, I don't know that we need any kind of printable radius outside of says B. Um, delta, polar, delta, 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 polar. 35 matches of it. All right, so not too much cleanup. It's about typical for a complicated, depending on how complicated a submission is. One little extra there for my own indulgence. OTF files are considered binary now. Binary. Okay, and now I'm looking at this printable radius stuff, and I'm like, oh, there's so many printable radiuses. Okay, fine. All right, next we have Scara. How many of those are there? Not too many. And also it's automatically determined for us, so that's nice. And polar, that's the only one left. Okay, so now we've got this whole thing. Printable radius, no problem. We've got that for you. Boom, simplified. Next. Okay. Okay, very good. So it was delta, Scara, and polar, huh? So we're now going to call it a new name. All right, one of each. Okay, next. Printable radius, very good. Now there's this thing called probable radius, which I guess I will just It doesn't have to be entered by the user, I hope. OBE. Probable, there it is. Ah, I see. And use probing region instead, so that's new. Okay, I guess I should look for things that start with scara underscore in case there's something similar in Delta World. Feed rate scaling and huh, it's in there twice. Oh, I see. One's for Morgan and one's for Tipara. Hmm. Hmm. Okay. What do you think? Use? All right. Yep. Mm-hmm. Very good. And Let's do it that way, I guess. All right. Good. Next. Printable radius. I think we got rid of that. So yeah, probable radius also. Probable radius. What's that one? Let's take a look. Probable? There we are. It's gone. So yeah, there is no such thing anymore. We determined that. Unless it's misspelled as probable. No. Okay. Next, it's nice to hear my echo. All right, so I guess we can push that change up. All those changes can be pushed to the limit. And yeah, this is gonna definitely have some fails, as these are all, you know, I have to update the configs to match. So moving on, let's do that. And I guess before I push that, we'll go straight for configs and use the old manual method. Which for me is to use GitHub Desktop to do all the things. So these are all the changes I'm going to be bringing over. And there should be nothing here. Oh. Well, that actually is new as well. I should probably bring those over separately. I forget what they're for. Large move items, also another new item coming up. I guess I'd call it large move menus or menu items or something. All right, so yeah. Onward, 214. Yeah, we're way over the 25,000 mark now as far as issues, comments, and pull requests to Marlin go. Not sure when that was done. We'll check it out. Let me see. Min temp. Oh, such a minor thing. Let's see. All right, so when did this happen? I don't know. Oops. I don't want the blame. I want the... Oh, that's all right, though. Uh, that happened there, and okay, so it was just a separate commit. Very good. So yeah, that can be done anytime. Excellent. Yellow. Actually, I should probably use VS Code for this stuff. It always works out better. It's faster. Yeah, we shouldn't be referring to things in the code in our configs. We should try to refer to things in terms of how the user sees them on the screen or whatever. So yeah, that's update min temp. Commentary. And now we've got some polar stuff to do. So none of the polar things are delta printable radius getting replaced. Oh, hold on a minute. Where's my charger for my tablet? Damn it. Gotta go get my charger. Hold on. I'll be right back. I'll do it this way. For one thing, the rotation, like, imagine that. Like, you've got a grid that's constantly rotating. Oh, weird. No sound, no problem. Let's see what else we got here. So, minor cleanups, minor cleanups. Looks good to me. Good to me. Looks good to me. Yeah, what would a fast move be on a polar? That's interesting. To see what that's like. Printable radius, scaling, and so on. All right, so yeah, the only thing I had screwed up was that I had polar graph enabled that time, which is what gave me that error. So generalize, cleanup. As long as I didn't enable polar or disable Cartesian or whatever it was, classic jerk, I should be good. All right. Very nice. There we go. Clean up, clean up, clean up. Okay, coming along, coming along. What are you gonna do, right? What are you gonna do? Okay. Coffee time. Yeah, I don't know what else I'll put behind my chat window. Make it transparent and make a little box for it. Yeah, I'll make a whole like left side thingy. A whole side thingy that I can just use to cover the whole side. Stick my face in there. Stick the window in there. The reason I'm kind of doing it this way rather than, shrink the window of the size of the window or whatever. Of course, if you make the screen size smaller, then you lose height, and the fonts become smaller. Everything gets smaller. So Just shoving everything off to the side works better. All right. Sculpto Pro 2 can come after this PR. Neat. I look forward to seeing what that looks like. So this is another fail, maybe? What was it this time? Classic jerk? No, I don't think it's... I think it's lying. I think it's lying. I think it's still... I think it's still running the tests. It hasn't completed them yet. What do you think? Oh! Well, what's this then? It still says classic jerk. I don't get it. I didn't enable Polar on the as. Oh, you know what I might have done is enabled Polar on like everything. Oh, that'd be funny. That's probably what I did. Yeah. Whoops. Whoopsie. One more. There you go. All right. Whoops. Okay, that's a slight oversight. Okay, that'll work now. I'm just a cog in the machine. The endless machine. All right, so yeah, if I do a rebuild on this, it'll be fine. After a couple minutes, I'll just give it a few seconds to do that. Let's check and see what else we've got in the pile today. 320 by 240 LCD portrait mode. Been working on that. Hopefully that's in good shape now. Let's go and take a look at it. It did merge my changes. Should I return TFT res 240 by 320? No. Let's see what this change was here. If not, TFT rotation defined, TFT rotation, TFT no rotation. I'm actually kind of surprised, didn't that already happen? It's defined by various configs. I see. Oh, I see. Yeah, that was my test from the other day. I back this up. Hello? Does it know I'm on 25207 or what? It says, thinks I'm on 25191. Oh, I am on 25191. Okay. Yes. Delete me of 25191 or 25207. Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to get the latest. The very latest, then I can compare. So yeah, there's 17 changes there. This is what I did. Bunch of stuff. And I use the word DFT rotate 90. So that's the question is, would we rather have a screen which is defined as 240 by 320, separate from 320 by 240, or, do you want to have a screen that is defined as 240 or 320 by 240, but then rotated 90 degrees? Right, so yeah, TFT no rotation. It's one of those questions one of those philosophical questions for the ages. Hey Ricardo, how's it going? Should I return TFT as definition? No. Oh, I guess I'm supposed to do that. Quote reply, please. Ah, gotcha. Should I return? Why? Tributers. Great Marlin, indeed. Marlin great. Great Marlin. The Marlin of greatness. My name is Scott, so sometimes I just yell, Great Marlin! The consensus from other contributors was to keep single screen size, but use the TFT, was it rotation? TFT rotate something. Yeah, TFT rotation. Shun. Implemented. Boop. Yeah, we had another PR. It was 1919191 something. 2521. I don't even know, but it was an earlier one. So that's a neat one. You want to do portrait mode on that particular TFT screen. It's going to be pretty cool. So polar kinematics, I think at this point I can get them to rebuild, and it probably build okay now. Let's find out. Rerun. All those jobs, please. Should be good to go. And yeah, assuming that these pass, we will have a polar kinematic, which is great. Kind of meaning to get around to something like this, but you know how it is. Oh, that's interesting. Was there a polar segments per second before? I don't think there ever was a polar segments per second for polar, or maybe it was for polar graph. Let me double check that on the bug fix, I guess. So, was there a polar already? Oh, there was. And it got changed to default. Yeah, okay. Oop. Okay. Yeah, oops is my favorite commit message. My most common commit message, maybe. Oops. All right. It's particularly warm in here today, but at the same time chilly. But that's just me, because I'm getting, getting that winter chill. Get that winter chill in my bones. Let's see. And then we have this one. It's all well and good, but I don't know that it really helps to put parentheses and funky spacings like that. Ah, here's something funny. Is Scar a printable radius? They're all printable radius. Ah, so I think it's is kinematic actually is what we get here. Because it turns out that delta, oh wait, maybe, yeah, polar has a printable radius, but polar isn't, yeah, and polar is kinematic, delta is kinematic, and Scara / Tipara is also kinematic, so I think we can do that. Anyone else? Okay. Interesting. Okay. I guess if probing margin was a negative number, this could end up being larger, which would be weird. You're not supposed to have a negative probing margin, but I suppose theoretically you could screw with that and see what it would do for you. But yeah, here it's like, I don't want to necessarily assume. Okay, so in either case we have the linkage stuff. Okay, good. Printable radius is now printable radius. Minus probing margin. Hey, looks familiar. Square the float or float the square. You decide. All right. Huh? Uh-huh. Looks like it's being squared before floated here. So I guess we're assuming that it can't be very, very huge. Of course, it doesn't really matter, does it? Because it's all happening at compile time. Whoops. So it doesn't really matter. Okay, looks like that is cleaned up. I see this kind of stuff and I'm like, oh. I see all these things are using the same calculations and I'm like, we should definitely put that somewhere for delta to use all the time. Because what is it? It's printable radius minus the current position, and that gives you, I don't know what, limits. It's limits. It's all about limits. All right, we've got oh, all right. I'll put it in parentheses just to be that guy. Just be nice, just to do the right thing. Because you never know when it might have like a ternary stuck in it for some reason. You don't know what you're gonna get. Generally speaking, it should be whatever, but interesting that that one's got an F on it, but that one doesn't. We can do that as well. Keep forgetting I'm supposed to do that. Got to put units on things. Congif? Did I just say congif? All right. Fine. What now? Oh. Fine. And we're here again to do a little more cleanup because that's what we do. Welcome to my work day. It's like take your YouTube channel to work day. Sorry kids, maybe you want to go over to the play area while I work on this. Just neatening things up. Add some units. Haven't done that one yet. Working on pre-time for the bed and the hot end. That's coming up soon. Those are going to be separate. Meanwhile, hope that works out. Yep. Wow, I'd say it did. Oh, it looks like these, there's like blank lines missing. What the hell? Have we been through that again? Like, for some reason, the copy paste. I've been really happy with VS Code as being a copy paste in a search and replace because it's so quick and it's done all things right. But now that it's got this weird thing where when you paste into the search or replace field, it strips out the extra new lines, which is like, what are you doing? Why would you do that? I'm gonna have to use Sublime Text to do the replace. Don't make me do it. Don't make me do it. It takes minutes. Something like a minute or two for it to do the replacement. It's too much. I mean, maybe if I turn on the regular expression stuff, it'll be happy. I don't know. Either way, take your YouTube channel to work day, folks. 3:32. There you go. Now, close but not quite. It's almost there. It's clear that some things are screwy. And how convenient it actually removes the new lines for me when I'm doing that paste there. Otherwise, I'd have to do it myself. All right, and then feed rate scaling, same deal. Oops. There we go. That's better. Jeez, what a mess. So that's annoying. That's going to end up being a headache for my maintenance of this stuff if they don't fix that. I assume that was part of the monthly update or something. Something weird happened there. I could be wrong. I don't know. Okay, how we doing? Oh, that's much better. And off we go. So that'll get deployed to bug fix shortly. All right. Back to work. Back to work, son. What next? Oh, brother, there's some other stuff here in the config pile I should take care of. Fix the Ender 3 V2 S1 DACI LCD compatibility, blah, blah, blah. Changes centered on Creality Ender 3 Pro. Set trimming screw thread to 40 for Ender 3. So, someone knows, I guess. Yeah, I know. Yes. Yes, it does. But you need to have some kind of sane defaults, man. You gotta provide defaults. Some kind of defaults. So, you know, gotta give them something. What should we put there? Alright, so just doing the screw thread, fine. 40, 40, 40, but yes, the defaults should be sensible, you know, or if it's impossible to know what the machine ships like the thing is, like you're talking about, you know, a machine that probably has a standard probe mount for a VL Touch that they provide on their website, or that is, you know, the most popular mount or whatever. And it's going to put the VL Touch on some particular side, and you know, that's the one we should go for if there's a VL Touch involved, is you should use whatever the standard is. So this is a config improved. Oh, I don't know, we're going to call this a slight improvement in user experience, as it were. Boop, thank you for that. Meanwhile, oh yeah, I should probably, oh, that's just for the Ender 3s, so that's always good. It's always good when it's limited to a particular set of configs. I don't have to worry about all the configs being affected now. So this LCD compatibility fix, let's take a look at this. There's a README involved, and there's 117 files involved. What are you doing? Changing 117 files. Oh, interesting. Deleted, added, deleted, added. Interesting. So what is, oh, this has to do with the JPEGs. They all looked fine to me. Oh, why would you get rid of that lovely thing and replace it with this? I don't know. Binary file not shown. These are all removed, I guess. JPEGs. $117, so unable to render rich display. Really? Okay. Available here. Okay, R3 equals 6F, RFA equals 01. Config, and RFC equals 18. Okay. The thing is, we have to make sure these still work with the other screens and stuff, so. What happened? What's the change here? +2, it adds, so they actually are becoming larger. Now, recently, these were all stripped down, like, and made smaller by stripping out, like, metadata and stuff. And now they're all becoming larger again by, when you're talking about 2.24K, I mean, that's significant with with these LCD screens. Oh, that's much smaller. Mine is 17K, so that makes up for all that, I guess. Depends on where it ends up, but yeah, it's 7 Zyko. And these are I guess they were probably based on these. Wow, 17K, huh? Okay. It's interesting that they went from this clever icon to this weird icon. This is the Zyko 1 icon. Alright, so all these are being added, and I'll make a note to the person who did the cleanup on these. So let me see who was the last person to mess with these. Let's take a look at the view file. History. Yeah, it was Ellen. I should say Peter Ellens. I always call it Ellen. Peter. So yeah, JPEG.io. So let's recommend that. Or I should say, Mr. Allen's recently compressed images with, what was it, JPEG.io? We decided there we go. We'll just say we run through the filter again. Oops, let's see, what are we looking at here? The private assets bundle folder, making them compatible. First of all, config text has been adjusted to allow font sizes. Cool. Text no longer draws out of bounds. We're using a different font. And then the graphics bundle has been converted to Zyko. I just want to make sure it's still compatible, backward compatible. Okay, now includes a full guide to identify all four. Cool. And it's been updated with a general notice. What's our time? 10:30? Yeah. So I'm going to be calling this one quits at, probably 11-ish. This stream. Since half of it was, or a bunch of it was done with the mute on. Whoops. It won't be, this is not a major stream that I need to preserve, but it's been nice to have you here. It's been nice to be with you, either way. I always enjoy having a little company when I'm working. Again, it's good to have someone to bounce things off of, even if they're imaginary. So yeah, Ender 3 updated general notice. No Marlin UI in landscape, however. It gets rid of the API for display rotation. That's weird because you would think landscape would be the standard, And then there's updated README files. I bet there is a way. I bet there's a way. I don't know. No API for display rotation. I don't know. Maybe if there's an API in there for setting hardware flags, maybe you can just set it directly or something. I don't know. So sure, I will approve and run the workflow. That's fine. So that's cool. Fascinating. I mean, some of these are definitely like Zyko 200 JPEG. I don't know if the numbers changed or what. But I mean, a lot of these are going away. Including this big old 17K, which I don't even know why it was a Zyko file. So again, I don't know why these JPEGs aren't showing. View file. Can I view the file? Yes, I can view the file. So I don't know why it won't let me view the file otherwise. But yeah, these are all... Some of these are getting a little on the larger side, but I don't think it matters. As long as they work, that's the important thing. Like, what is the difference here? Well, I guess these are all being added completely, huh? So, can't really do much about that. They're going to be what they are. But yeah, overall, generally speaking, it looks like the whole thing is becoming smaller. This is great. When was this submitted? Not too long ago, I hope. I'll be a little embarrassed. When was it? 3 days ago. Okay, good. Not too bad. That's pretty neat. So awesome. Very good. I like this kind of thing. Oh, here we go. A nice README update. Ender 3 series printers that have a knob-based color LCD control unit. We don't really have standard names for these things. Knob-based encoder. It's called an encoder, LCD with encoder, with rotary encoder. So yeah, I'm going to do that. It's going to be a little pedantic. Micro SD. Currently, oops. Too much coffee in my belly. Yeah, okay. Renders true type fonts. That's helpful because we need multi-language support, and that gives us the ability to do multi-language support in ways that the regular D1 display does not. So that's good. It was a long time when I was really focused on languages and getting language support included in more screens and trying to make that like, you know, a standard element. But when you get screens that are like, you know, they can only do bitmap fonts, you're kind of stuck, you know. And then, you know, for Chinese, you have to basically render bitmaps a lot of times anyway, just to get things to fit right, lay out correctly or whatever. Or you just don't have a font that would look good at the particular size that you want to print it at, so you have to like pre-render it and you know, make it look nice. So overall, pretty cool. It's definitely a lot of pluses here. But a lot of minuses from that 17K as well. But okay, where are we at with Polar? Did it pass our testing? Let's take a look. I think it should have by now. Should have. Oh yes, it did. Okay, I think we're good with Polar at this point. Boom, Marlin has Polar. Marlin has Polar kinematics, first time in history. So there's not much I would change here. Almost nothing really that I would change here as far as number 880 goes. Even in configurations, we've had 880 submissions. That's quite a large number. I'm really impressed over time how many tweaks and improvements and adjustments have been made to the configurations. Just crazy how much we've got going on here. Okay, and meanwhile there is a Pro UI update here which isn't completely finished. So, oh, but it was merged. So yeah, there is some issue with it, which I think might have been conversed about. Not here, but on Discord, and the issue is, let me review real quick. Yeah, dwin when a BL touch isn't enabled. Compile fails if BL touch is disabled. So I can fix that pretty readily, you know, if I want to do it. We'll just do an MF test with, what was it, number 30 something. I think it's number 30, V1, V2 Maple. Nope. I'm thinking of something else. It's STM32 something Creality. Number 57. There we go. So we want to use Pro UI. And does this have a BL Touch enabled on it? It does have bilinear. And it has a Z-Min probe of some kind. It is a BL Touch. Okay, cool. So let's not build it. And then we'll do opt disable BL touch, opt enable. We'll just go with, I don't know, probe manually. I don't know if it can even do that. Okay, here goes nothing. Okay. Oops. Should I put a real probe? I'll go with a fixed mounted probe instead. There. See how we go with that. So far it doesn't seem to care whether you have a BL touch or not. All right, let's opt disable auto bed leveling. UBL. I think I've been through this before where, because I wanted to make sure it could build without, you know, probing, without a probe and stuff. So yeah, probe repeatability test requires a real probe. Do I have some kind of probe that isn't a real probe? Let's see. Yeah, I might be quitting a little earlier. Just feeling like peckish. I want to go make dinner. Let's see. So here we have, do you have a probe? Right, different probes. Solenoid probe, has bed probe. Touche me probe, maglev, sensorless. Crazy. So yeah, you get rid of that, and then has bed probe, you need a real probe. Otherwise, yeah, so where is that? Obviously you can't do that. It's just the easier way to deal with it. Like, you can't do that. You need a probe. What? I just undeffed it, man. That's not cool. Okay. Has bed probe? Maybe I do has a bed probe. I don't think I has a bed probe. Let's take a look. Okay. Oops. Gotta fix that polar bit. Polar fix coming up. Oops. Sure. I don't know. Should I do it there or should I do it elsewhere? I'll do it at the end. I'll do it in Marlin, actually. I kind of like having those squished together. It's fine. This is a follow-up for Pro UI. Pro UI testing, thank you. '57, please. Number 3, please. Okay, so if we simply disable BL Touch, what? Okay. So, does it think there's a probe? Has stowable probe. Well, I turned off all those things, so none of those should be true. And none of those should be true. So when it gets down to here, it should get rid of this. So what was that? Who's doing this? Who's doing this to me? Let's see, how is it that it's not getting, oh, undeft? Well, it is, yeah, it should be getting undeft real early, too. There's only one place where it's defined, that's in the configuration. Oh, ADV, okay. Doy, I see. Sorry, my bad. Right. It's fairly well defined where things are in the configs, which is why I can kind of like, you know, enforce this stuff, but yeah, that obviously not happening. This needs to be after conditionals ADV. No has bed probes, so yeah, here I would say yeah, how about that? Look at that, okay. Where were we? Oh, right. I don't know how I'm confounded by such simple things. Makes no sense. All right, let's see. Ah, now we have this one. No manual Z offset? Why not? It says here that it should exist when there's a bed probe or not. Only for mesh bed leveling, it says. Then it says you're going to definitely be using mesh bed leveling, or you're going to be using non-mesh bed leveling, or something else. So it does, if disables probe and either baby step Z probe offset, what? If you don't have a bed probe, then you can't baby step the probe offset. Okay, has mesh, we do have something. If it's a probe, if it's got a probe, then we can use the probe offset. Otherwise, we use a manual Z offset. So it does require a mesh of some kind. Meanwhile, just baby step doesn't necessarily have a mesh. Again, doesn't necessarily have a mesh. So here we have, if either baby stepping or bed probe. Yes, baby stepping. No bed probe, then just baby step. Again, what is this manual Z offset about? What is it even used for? Nothing I can see. Okay, so when do we want this to exist? Only for mesh bed leveling, it looks like. That's what it says here, anyway. Homing done, that's interesting. Why would you do that? I don't know. That's very strange behavior to add to homing done, if you ask me. Because again, I don't like it when like someone who's implemented a screen decides to change the way that homing behaves in their screen code. Like, what the hell are you doing? It's not where it belongs. If you need a new option for homing or something, like, we expand the homing routines and then modify, make it so that everything can utilize that new thing or whatever it might be. So yeah, I don't know what's going on with this. So yeah, if you have a mesh but you don't have a probe, then you must be using And I don't know what it's going for. I think it's trying to come up with its own Z offset, but we actually have a method for that. So I don't know what it's going for here. Also, I just don't see what it's going for here. It's wrong. It's a wrong! Oh, well, of course, baby Z-var is also a thing. So yeah, I see this as being something that if you're going to be baby stepping the Z-probe offset or just baby stepping, then you're going to have some kind of baby Z-var. Yeah, I mean, it's the reason that it exists is just for mesh bed leveling. So I don't know. Let's try rebuild and see if I can at least build past that. Nope, something else. Oh, because baby Z-var is being used where? In edit item, in the Z offset item. Yeah, that's silly. Let's see. If disabled has bedrobe and, or what? Just baby step, what? Well, for one thing, just baby step can only be set if not as bed probe, therefore that's all redundant. Baby stepping without a bed probe. Right, and therefore if either of those, then it has a Z offset item. Okay, getting there, getting there. So this is going to be, manual Z offset is going to be set in the case where we have a mesh without a probe, which means, well, probe manually is a bed probe, I think. Gotta be checking that. Probe manually, does it count as a probe? No, it does not count as a probe. So right, it's not a probe. Therefore, if you have a mesh and you don't have a probe, you must be using manual bed leveling. Now, if you don't have a mesh, you don't have any, you have Z offset as your baby Z-var. Now again, this manual Z offset thing is really annoying me. I don't think it should exist. I just don't think it should. It shouldn't exist this way anyway. If you want to make it exist, you have to work with me. Don't just run off on your own. I don't get it. I just don't get it. Why would you think you have to put part of a new element of the motion system into your LCD code? Okay. Yeah, it's clearly an LED. Sure, those are temperatures, but not everything after is temperatures. That's baud rate, for example. Sure, put temperatures there, but you can't keep that there. You gotta move that down. Let's see. What else we have? Z after homing. What's that all about? HMI data, Z after homing. Okay. Why do we need that? It's something that can be edited. Is that why you have it? Yes, you do. You have a new item that you've added, but you decided that we're not going to be using the Z after homing setting except as the default. Okay. Again, like there's the default Z after homing. Okay. What's up with that? There is a Z after homing option here. And Z after homing 0 is, again, you want to change the behavior of the printer within the LCD code. That's just not smart. It's just not good. You got to work with the rest of the team. You can't just go off on your own. Stay within this little LCD bubble and work on your code within the LCD bubble and not consider the rest of the project or how other things might interact with these things. If you want a Z after homing that's editable, then we create a new feature for an editable option. Then you can change it with G-code, you can have it saved in the EEPROM. It's available to everyone who wants it. It shows up here and it shows up in Marlin UI. I don't really see why it's such an important thing to add. Like, you can add anything. I mean, you can just go ahead and add anything. Make anything editable within your screen code, but I mean, come on. If all of those, then use Z after homing. LCD Pro UI, Axis homing menu, and mesh bed leveling. Well, it looks to me like you don't really need to because it's already been done. And again, and what's this? Z after probing has bed probe. So it will have defined that, and it will have defined that, and therefore, if it's defined, I guess we're done. Oh, but no. If it has a homing height, then it defines it as that. I see. You can't do that either. Someone could change it to anything, so again, you can't just have if Z after probing. Yeah. Z after probing. We'll do it that way. Static assert is needed when you have things that might be a float, because you can't do float stuff in preprocessor land. And I guess might as well check them all to be that they're above 0. This is kind of overkill, but and make sure it is defined. Right, so if it's defined, then we got to check that. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, this particular probe requires it to be disabled. That's interesting. Okay, so yeah, we're back here again. So after homing, homing height, and then post clearance. And then if both probe and Z after probing, now I can't say both here, I have to say if yeah, I guess we'll go with that. It has to be greater than or equal to 0, but I guess we can also say, you know, if, since I wanted it to be greater than 0. Also, we know that it's going to be positive because we already sanity checked that. Right, if defined, if defined, if defined, it must be greater than or equal to 0. There it is, if then line to Z, and no, actually we know it's going to be greater than or equal to 0, but it was required to be greater than 0 previously. Meanwhile, if defined, there we go. Well, it actually doesn't do much, does it? All right, I think that's good. Right, if it's defined, then it must be greater than or equal to 0. So not everything after probing necessarily requires, but whatever. How's our build going? Are we getting there yet? Have we built without a probe yet? Getting there. Okay, there. That's pretty good. So let's see what we ended up with here. We made some adjustments. The way it baby steps. What's included when it baby steps. Right. So there is actually a Z offset for the mesh, but it's treated, it's got its own life. It's not, it can't be interacted with the way they're interacting with it here. So it's a little on the screwy side. Polar follow-up. And well, see after homing. It's an editable value in this world, which is all fine, but I guess I'm going to just call this remove manual Z offset. Also, should be lowercase anyway. Should be lowercase. Come on, what are you doing? There. Thanks, CRC. I'm messing with it, because why not? Things have to be messed with. As I become aware of things, I generally fix them as quickly as I can. It's just going to the bug list and actually looking at the bug list. Oof. I'm scared to go there. Hey, how did input shaping work for you? ENG Abdurrahman Al-Baradi. How'd it work out? Yes. Input shaping Al Akbar. That's what I say. Alrighty. I don't exactly want to. Oh, I do want to first push this, don't I? I do. Let's see. So that was the kinematic stuff. That's all updated. Boop. Well, let's just hope that all works out. I'll do a rebase on one of these other things or a merge. Generalize some options. Right. Let's do a quick branch clean. I have a little script for that. It just checks if I've got any PRs that I've like opened up and then I haven't, I've fixed them or they got merged and I didn't bother to delete them. So I made a little script to do this because you never know. So yeah, I've got a bunch of them still open apparently. Usually what I'll do is if I'm not working on it, I'll just delete it from my local copy. That way I always make sure that I'm getting the latest that was pushed. And hopefully I don't like make changes and forget to push them and then go make changes on my laptop and forget to push them. And I don't know. It'd be nice if you could have like the idea of a cloud drive that's available everywhere all the time is great. That's kind of the way I work. For some things, but of course you can't do that with like GitHub repositories because you end up syncing back and forth like crazy. And it's just, you don't want to do that. Don't put your GitHub desk, instances on your cloud drive. Ender 3 S1, 100 millimeters per second print speed, 2 hours instead of 5. Wow. That's impressive. Yeah. Input shaping is magic, I'm telling you. It's magic. The way that it was implemented for Marlin is pretty clever too. I like it. It uses some RAM, but because it uses, RAM rather than a lot of computation, you can actually run it on an AVR that has enough RAM. So that's kind of cool. It's just basically just keeping track of steps and then creating extra steps and sticking them in at the right times, and it's magic. That's all I can say about it. It's like the fact that it works at all is magic to me. I'm gonna do probably a big old flowchart on the motion system at some point as a video, and maybe even edit it down. Make it put up some diagrams and flowcharts, circles and arrows, all that kind of good stuff. Because yeah, it's a good idea in general. Okay, so pick something that isn't yet merged. and do a merge on it, and yeah, see if it builds correctly. So I'll just do a quick merge on this and hopefully that'll do the trick. Yeah, there's no major reason to have to switch to Clipper if your main concern is like, getting the input shaping feature. That's not a good reason necessarily. Smoother motion, that idea. I mean, we've got 32-bit boards that we are barely tapping the power of. Oh, don't tell me I can't push to this at all. It's going to be one of those forks I can't push to. I think it is. This guy's fork is screwed up, so I can't actually push to his fork. So let's skip that. Or should I? Hold on. Let me go grab his thing again. His pull request again. 25207, right? Just git reflog, go back to where I was in case I had changes in there that I forgot about. Returning to... Right, so that's bug fix. That's the one right there, I think. Git reset hardhead. I have a shorthand for that. Okay, so oops, I guess not. It wasn't 25214, it was 25207. Pretty sure. Excuse me a moment while I stare. What? Returning to, it shows me the commit name, but it doesn't show me like the name of the pull request, obviously. Parts of it do, but let's see, where was I? Check out that one? No. Rebase. Where's the part where I did the git merge or whatever? Oh, there it is, merge. So I think it's this one, 7DC D2C. Or is it? Update TFTIO. Hello? I feel like that's where I just was. Okay. Sure enough. Yeah, so this guy's branch is one I can't push to, which is interesting. So let's move that. Move along. Z-stop pin for Chitu board. Okay, so there's a correction apparently. Z-stop pin. Can't hurt to have a Z-stop pin. That's a good one. Yeah, that's interesting. So what is it doing otherwise? Oh, it's using G2 3D Common. And the V6 has a different stop pin. Who knew? Good to know. I wonder how this ever worked. Okay, I'll take it as an authoritative fix. Yeah, it always surprises me when we have boards that have been around and they haven't been like verified. Like of all the things you would verify, the pins would be one of the easiest things you can verify. with or without, you know, a data sheet. And I've gone back through stuff and verified things with data sheets and made sure I got the right silkscreen names and all that sort of stuff so that everything matches, silkscreen labels and all that stuff, because, you know, it's hard to keep track of these things. I do want this to be a sort of an authoritative little database of info about this stuff, so yeah. When there's errors, it affects us all. We all become confused. Not that we're not already confused, but let's see, what else we got? Oh, right, I was going to do another thing with polar kinematics. That's already done, okay, cool. Okay, already done. Next. Surely that one just got merged, right? Yes. Okay. Don't know why it showed a little yellow light on it. Okay, next, some changes to some things. A black pill-based custom board. If you wanted to build a black pill-based printer. Oh, and this is the new hot end setting. So I think this is pretty ready. This is just a new option to do preheating on the bed the way that it can on the hot end, because I guess some temperature sensors don't even read a valid value until the temperature reaches a certain point. So you can tell me what that's about. Oops, looks like I need to do a merge. And a little conflict resolution. This is how we do. Throw it at the end here. Done. Oop, what's this? Strange. 25206. Did that end up in bug fix as well? Oh, shit. That's bizarre. I have no idea how that happened. It got merged in there twice in a row. One time blank, one time normal. It was one of those things where I had to hit the button twice or something. I don't know what's going on with that, but that's history. That's part of our history, officially. Oops. Oh, okay, feed rate scaling. There we go. I feel like we took care of this part too, didn't we? So what's going on? Did I or did I not fetch that thing? Oh, wrong thing. There we go. There we are. Hello. Printable radius. Hello. Where are you? Printable radius. The hell? Oh, maybe I never did get this set up. Hold on. That's silly. I probably never pushed my change to the polar kinematics. Let's see, when that was 25214, right? Five D6. And then here we are again. 6D3, 4. But there's a rebase going on there. Oh, I see. So that had already been merged by the time that came along. Pro UI testing polar update. I don't know, I feel like go here. Reflog can be tricky to figure out sometimes. What am I doing? Because yeah, I feel like I already fixed that in the sanity check. Like these should all be is kinematic, you know. Oh wait, yeah, printable radius. Otherwise, other stuff. You know, I made a big noise about the bloody parentheses. What the heck? Yeah, what was that one? Polar update. That was all just that. Right, and then I would have, that's the thing I was supposed to have fixed, right? Whoops. But yeah, this would have been Pro UI followed by some nonsense. Hmm. Polar stuff, please. So yeah, it never got in there. That's interesting. Interesting in the sense that it never got in there, even though I went through this whole rigmarole. Like, was it this one? If I merge this, then yeah, I see, it's already like that. Oh, well, mine is anyway. Huh. Then what happens? Continue merge. Then I can do a git reset, bug fix 21x, and just see if there's anything else I missed. Nope. Nothing I missed. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna do it. Gonna do it. Gonna force push bug fix. Shh. Don't tell anyone. Once in a great while, I do force push to the bug fix branch. The hope is that, you know, between the time that I did some commits and the time that I made this force push, that nobody was messing with it. But hey, it's a world of billions of people. Who knows? Who knows what can be going on? People could be playing with this thing all the time, outside my awareness. Well, either way, there's many more pull requests where that came from. So this one in particular makes me pretty happy. Hopefully it's all good, even after my bug fix shenanigans. Looks okay. We went through this a lot recently because it has many things going on. Oh, that's interesting. Let's figure this one out. It's got a lot of weird stuff in it that shouldn't be there. Two 5146, please. Let's take a look at the history of it. Did I force push something here by mistake? Oh, I did. Oh, well, that's that branch, though. I did a merge of this a minute ago. Now, let's just take a look at the commit history, and we'll go back to before I did the merge. So this should be fine right here. I should be able to say git reset hard head this, git merge, bug fix, and then find the conflicts. Continue. Now, unless I'm mistaken, there's got to be another merge here before this one. Oh, there it is from last week. Maybe this one would be better. Same thing. Yeah, I think that makes more sense, probably. Let's try that. Power push. A little power push script. Here we go. Okay, so reload that. Okay, now we have a single merge, which is good. And that's better. Okay. I believe I have this already to go in the config repo. Yeah, here it is. Ready to go. There's a bit of a sanity check. Make sure it is, get those renames right. Cool. Yeah, here it is. And sure enough, everything is updated and ready to go. And a little thermistor 66 notice there. And you can see that we've got our renames happening. Specific things about whether it's a hot end preheating or the bed. Yeah, so some of this stuff is really just cosmetic looking, but it actually adds real new functionality. There we are, and that's the fantastic new stuff. Preheat end MS, preheat end MS bed. Eh, okay. Sure. Reset hot end preheat time. Start hot end preheat time. Reset bed and start bed. Okay, that all looks good to me. So I'm gonna merge this sucker. And more of history being made. Little new feature in Marlin to preheat your bed. And I'll just make a note of the name. And of course, a lovely icon. Voila. Now, when I was doing web development, I would get paid like 50, 60 an hour for that stuff. So I would have just made like 400, I don't know, 200 bucks for this little stream of my time doing web development for a company in New York or whatever. But this is more fun, honestly. It may not pay as well, but it's fun. It's more rewarding in a way. I mean, I'm getting stuff out to the world in a way that's bigger. You know, if I'm working on a website, you know, websites, they're come and go, touch and go. Every company has a bloody website. Just another expense. All right. Next. Unified limits for feed rate, acceleration, jerk, and steps on the E3V2. This might need a merge at this point. Let's make sure I've got the latest bug fix. I do. Okay, good. So we'll just make sure this is up to date. Of course, there'll be conflicts. And yeah, I'll sign off shortly. I was going to quit an hour ago, but hey, plenty to do. So this is the new stuff. And this is the stuff that was being added. So it looks like both get to stay. Now you see this, all these statics being added to dwin, all well and good, but Look, they already exist. Remain time. Give it 32. I don't know if that was intentional. And this thing called SD print, which is a flag, apparently. Not used by ProUI, from what I can tell. Not anymore, anyway. My thinking is that these probably just don't need to be there that way. I mean, they don't need to be static anyway. Continue merge. All right, merge completed. So let's take a closer look at this one. And then I'll beg out of here in a little while. So that's, for one thing, it's all going to be 2023 now. So here's the thing where things are going away. Things are being added under the Creality E3v2. So that's sort of, you know, its own thing. Interesting. Limits.h. Gyres UI, similar idea. Interesting. Limits. Now ProUI has recently gotten a big old overhaul, so let's find out what this is about. Oh, I see. Interesting. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, we've never really gone that way as far as, you know, like, we know these are XYZE, so we don't really need to do this. And again, I don't know why you want these, to be honest. This is a big old, you know. Interesting. And, yes, we could have a y without an x and a z without a y, but we don't do that. In Marlin, if you have a y or a z, you have the axis that comes before it. That's just the way it is in the Marlin world. All right, so is that all? Is that all the things? Okay, so here we've got again, I don't know why you want to edit these. This is like editing the values that limit what you're allowed to edit. What? Just, you set the limits for the machine, that's kind of how you do it. I mean, that's sort of the idea. Okay. So they might already be part of this whole spiel after all. Oh, there it is. Limits.h, right? Okay. Mm-hmm. Yep, it's just about time. I'm probably going to have a pasta tonight, I guess. This morning, I should say. I see, so we are adding those limits, but in an interesting way with limits.h. Hopefully an interesting way that I pushed. Oh, I haven't pushed it yet. All right. Overall, it looks very clean though. It's fine implementation. It's just fine. And I did make the limits a little less formal. Taking out all those indices. So does it make sense to use a multiplier? I don't think so. And I'll tell you why. I see. Interesting. So there is actually an option already. So that's good. So it's using the options that exist already and applying limits. Improve. Thank you. Thank you for this. That's great. I thought it was going to be editable limits, but it's not. I see arrays and I'm like, my head goes, woo, lights up. No more arrays. We can't use RAM. We're not allowed. We can't use any more anything. Marlin must continue to become smaller from now on. That's what I say. All right, guys. I'm doing these live streams all the time, pretty much now. So, gonna be in your face, bothering you, putting a bunch of crap up on YouTube. Probably end up deleting a lot of these just because they're, redundant. I'm not trying to build a channel or following or anything like that. But it is nice to get the word out and let people know that stuff's going on, it's being built. We're making things, we're making progress all the time, fixing stuff, and each of the things you see coming through here in the pull requests is things that somebody somewhere wants or needs. So that's how it's working. We're just gonna keep going, keep pushing through. For as long as Marlin continues to be viable, used, enjoyed by the many, I'm gonna keep advancing it. There's no reason to let it languish and die. It's come close to that in times. During its early days, it seemed like it might not continue to progress, but at this point, like sunk cost fallacy, I don't know. We got to keep going, got to keep moving, keep making better, more better firmware, more better firmware. We got again, I've got some interesting things coming from other contributors. I have a little bit of contact with Creality, although they started out being like, here we are, let's work together, and then they disappeared. So we'll hope they come back. And then Yolendo is coming through in about a month with some interesting stuff that I'll be going over at that time, comparing updated input shaping to the current input shaping, and stuff like that. And that's what they're going to be. They're going to be contributing a little improvement to our input shaping. I've been studying splines and B-splines and all that stuff, looking for ways to tweak the motion and make it smoother without losing losing sharpness on corners. And it's tricky. It's definitely tricky. Input shaping itself is kind of it's a trick. It does some cool tricks, but the main thing is avoiding the kick at the start and end of motions. So that actually, that's where the Bezier curves and the B-splines and things like that come in. They're pretty easy to calculate compared to certain types of splines get more and more complex and harder to calculate, but then they become easier. But I just watched this thing about how splines have, you have these different order derivatives, and they can be continuous. But then if you find that the next order derivative isn't continuous, you'll actually see that physically in the result in ways that are really interesting, like fascinating. Like if you do a rounded corner on a shiny surface, you can see where it goes from being curvy to being straight. But if you set up the second order derivative in just the right way to also be continuous, then you'll get this nice continuous curve. And it's like, how'd they do that? It's pretty amazing. So figuring out how to make the motion in Marlin be more smooth and continuous is really kind of, the main goal. There are lots of ways to approach it, time-based and things like that. And so completely rewriting the motion system is not a easy or trivial idea, but it is something that, writing elements of it kind of like from the ground up and then experimenting and playing and then comparing what we have, that can work. So it's like you never have to, throw away the work you have to do experiments. You can always, do experiments on the side, try supplanting or replacing this whole element with this whole other element, see how it works. For example, like PID tuning versus MPC temp. You've got some really interesting options there to compare. So anyway, I don't want to ramble too long. There's lots of fun things to explore in the upcoming days, weeks, and months ahead. One of the main things I really want to improve on is the documentation. So maybe there'll be some ways I can, but I have to do scripting to kind of like further that. So wish me luck with that. We'll see how that goes as we go along. Anyway, thanks again to all my supporters, patrons, sponsors, and everyone else who supports this work. I couldn't do it without you. And I will be seeing you guys really soon. And I'm glad to hear you're having good luck with input shaping. I'm very excited for the next generation of input shaping um, and whatever other things we can do. So yeah, anyway, I'll see you guys soon. Uh,